Good morning, everyone. Alright, so today we're going to be doing a fuel filter on the e46. And this one is not mine. This was dropped off here. I'm going to change the fuel filter on it. And we have a wee bit of an issue. The first is, now on my E38, I showed you why you need to... Well, I showed you... Let me check, make sure there's no... Oh, she did leave the keys. Okay, thank God. Alright, so we do have a key here. At first, I thought we didn't have a key and we were going to be boned, because I need to pull the fuel pump fuse and start the car. That way, you know, we can drain all the, get all the pressurized fuel out of the system. So, hooray. Took me a minute, man. That was like literally the last place I looked. Okay, so first things first is the fuse box is under the glove box. So I've already got it opened here. There's these two little white tabs. You just rotate them to where they're pointing towards the back of the car. And then this drops down, and here's your fuses. She bought some fuses, but they're the wrong size. They're those itty-bitty little ones. And these are kind of the big ones. These are actually much larger than regular ones, but in any case, okay. She's also complained about the cigarette lighter not working. So I'll take her at her word for that, and I'll be back with you guys in a minute once I inspect it. Alright, so I found the culprit for the cigarette lighter. Fuse number 47, a 20-amp fuse is burned out, so she'll need to replace that. I don't see any spare fuses in here either. And her car doesn't, as I can see, have the fuse diagram unless it's like way back in the back behind all that stuff. So I had to Google it. So 2003 330xi e46 chassis, fuse 47 is supposed to be a 20-amp fuse for the cigarette lighter. This one's burned out. So she'll need to replace that. And now we'll go and, you know, before we do anything, I want to start the car and see if the engine light's on. And then I want to do a diagnostic on it. So we're going to do a diagnostic. We'll start the car, pull the fuse for the fuel pump. Start the car, depressurize the fuel system, and then we'll get to work. Alright, so this is going to be the diagnostic part of our check here. I'm going to see what we got going on. So we have 10 codes. It's a lot less than before. I've scanned this thing a couple times. I had 12 the first time and 13 the last time. Now we only have 10. So we're improving. Misfire detected with low fuel. Random multiple cylinder misfire. System 2 lean. System 2 lean. Cylinder 4 misfire, cylinder 2 misfire, cylinder 6 misfire, cylinder 3 misfire, cylinder 5 misfire, cylinder 1 misfire detected with low fuel, random multiple cylinder. Okay, so everything's misfire related. Can't remember what the last 3 codes were before. I know one of them was idle air control valve or something like that, but that one doesn't seem to be here now. Okay. I'm not going to clear these yet. I want to start the car first. Make sure the engine light's on. So let's go BMW. Non-X3. We'll do automatic. So I won't bore you with this part because it's going to take a minute. As you see, we have to scan for 44 modules, so I'll be back and we'll see what's doing. Alright, so we're back. All the modules have been scanned. See what we got. These are all our misfire codes. 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. Fuel trim bank 2, permissible range exceeded. Fuel trim bank 1, permissible range exceeded. Plausible idle speed leakage air. So we might have an air leak somewhere. Might have a vacuum leak. We have a steering angle code, so we need an alignment. Toleration of changing code exceeds with key number 6. Okay. Steering angle sensor. It's going to be that same code, I'm sure. Steering angle implausible. Oh, okay. Guess not. So that's dynamic stability control. Where we have that one code. Okay. AC heater. Shouldn't be anything in here. Nothing. Okay. Instrument cluster. I'm going to assume there's nothing in here. Data filing difference to central light module. Don't know what that means. Okay, can't even read anything in there, so that's fine. Multifunction steering wheel. Holy crap, this thing has a lot of modules, 14 of them. Nothing here. Radio. Nothing. Sunroof. Nothing. So there's no codes in the sunroof. I've noticed it looks like it's off the track a little. So that might just be need an adjustment. Airbag codes. The light's not on, I don't think, so there shouldn't be anything here. Nothing there. Alright, and we're back to where we were. Okay, so we have some codes there. Stability control. The immobilizer system. And something on the instrument cluster. Everything else was normal. Alright, well, we'll come back and clear those codes once we get to work here. Alright, so we're going to start the car. And then we are going to pull fuse 54 and watch the engine stall out. You know, surprisingly, there's no check engine light. Those must all be stored codes then. Alright, let's pull the fuse. Alright, so she stalled out before I could capture it, but I pulled the fuse and she stalled out after about 5 seconds. So we'll try to start it one more time. It won't start, and then we'll know fuel lines are depressurized. Okay, so we're neutral. And you want to make sure you do this until it literally does not start, till it just cranks and cranks and cranks. And that's when your fuel system is nice and not pressurized. Perfect. Alright, let's go underneath and get to work. It's just like the E38, you're going to jack it up on this side. And also like the E38, I'm surprised she actually does have her little jack pad deal there. So, you don't ever want to jack it up from here with just a straight jack. You always want to use this part. I don't know if she has one or not. This is from my E38, so use my part to jack it up, but make sure that fits into the slot and then you just jack it up. I went ahead and impacted the front wheel off. So just like the E38, 5 lug bolts, 17 millimeter. And her brake pads look like they've got a pretty reasonable amount of life left on them. So she won't need front brakes anytime soon. She recently replaced the backs, but didn't replace the wheel or the brake pad lining sensor. So she does have a light on for that, but not a big deal. Brakes look good. So, alright, so we're jacked up now on the driver's side. And she actually has the jack pad still on the car. A lot of people are losing those, but this one's here. So you got to use the little jack pad with the rectangular thing that plugs into there like I do on the E38. And that's how you jack her up. And we need to get rid of this plastic panel here to get to the fuel filter. So I think we got a few 8 millimeters. I'll figure out where they all are on here. You can see one there, here, and here. right up in there. So I'll take those 3 off and we'll see if that one way on the end has to come off or not, and I'll be back. Alright boys, we found the problem. I'll go underneath and show you what's doing here. Oh, if you remember the E38, we have a fuel pressure regulator built into the filter, the vacuum tube on it. Uh-oh, vacuum tube was broken off, so this thing wasn't doing any pressure regulating. And this thing's completely dry rotted. Look at this, it just crumbles. Just like mine was. No, that's not our only problem. So it looks like the part number's the same. This is the same filter, but look at these hose clamps. Let's see if I can focus on this for you. Look at that. That isn't going to take a regular Phillips or anything. It's those stupid, weird safety hose clamp things. So, we got a predicament here. I should have enough vacuum line. I think I have enough. I might have just enough left of that size when I did mine to put this over here and fix this. Then it'll start sucking. You know, we'll have the correct pressure, so it should start running normally. But we do have a new filter. This filter is probably the factory one from, you know, 220,000 miles ago. So if I do take this off, I mean, I might be able to get it off, but getting it back on tight is going to be a pain in the ass if I have to reuse these clamps, because I don't know if I have any hose clamps this small. I'll look around inside. If I have hose clamps this small, then fine, I can destroy these, taking them off if need be. Not a big deal. And I'll just put regular hose clamps back on. If I don't, then I have to figure out if we want to try to reuse these or something. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what we decide to do here. I'll grab this though. My vacuum line, because that's why we're not getting proper fuel. Right here, it finally cracked and broke after however many years of dry rotting, which they will do. That was why you do need to change these every so often, for no other reason, so you can replace this when you're down here. But this look, the hose themselves, fuel line hoses, they look fine. So, be right back, boys. I find one hose clamp, so we're about 2 short. So I'll have to do my best to try to get them off without damaging them, and try to get them back on without damaging them, and try to get them tight. And then we do have enough vacuum hose. This should be about the same, assuming this car's using the same thing as my E38. This should work. This should be enough. Should be just enough. Alright, I'll get under there and I'll see if I can get them hose clamps off. So we got the fuel filter loose. I did manage to finagle those so-called safety clamps with this long, flat, short screwdriver and a lot of liquid wrench. So right now we got the front part. This is going to the engine. We let that drain first because there's not an unlimited supply of fuel on that side towards the engine. You let the fuel filter drain a little bit. This is what's drained so far. And then once that stops doing what it's doing, we can get these. Because remember, the fuel tank's on this side. So because of gravity, probably going to get a steady stream. So we're going to, boom, pull this thing out. And then grab our new one. Do a quick reload. And then put her back in. And then try to be gentle with finagling these alleged safety clamps back in. Okay, so we did the exchange. We got the new filter on, and I'm going to show you a little trick here if you don't have the spare hose clamps. So although I took them off quite easily with this little screwdriver, here's how this works. If we can focus here. Okay, see how you can loosen this? This part right here on the top left is higher, and so is this bottom right part, which means when you stick the screwdriver in here, it grips. You can loosen it just fine. Now when you go to tighten it, it just spins, because these are the only 2 high spots. The part where you would need to torque is too low. So they're only meant to be used once because you can't put them back on with this. Now you can't do it with the socket either, because unlike normal hose clamps where it's like a little 5 or 5.5 or whatever, nope, won't work. But there is a flat spot on the top where this groove is and on the bottom. So if you want to reuse these, the trick is you get your, as soon as I figure out where the fuck I put them, hold on. Okay, so where you see the flat spot is, if it'll focus, see where that groove is? That's on the top and the bottom. Get yourself some needle nose pliers, clamp them on there, and then you can tighten them that way. Try to show you as best as I can here, but see, I got the needle nose on there, vice grips. You can just torque them like that, just keep spinning. And then when they're tight, sorry, I'm out of focus, I probably didn't even show that. I probably spun that, you didn't even get to see it. But anyway, you can clamp them over there and then twist them till they're tight. So that's the technique. If you don't have replacement hose clamps, I'd recommend just popping these things off and then getting real ones and then putting them on before you do this. Then you won't have this problem. So that's my advice. You can take it or leave it, but if you decide to reuse these things, that's how you can retorque them. So I'll get the other side on, get the vacuum line on, and then get this thing back together. All right, we're back together. New fuel filter is in there. We got the new vacuum hose. I used some of mine. And we got the clamp back on, and we got the hose clamps tight. So now we just got to put that metal thing here, the plastic thing, back over it, and then we are DUN done. Then we'll put the fuse back in for the fuel pump, prime the fuel pump a few times, and start this thing. And I'll see if I can show you. As you can see, this fuel is kind of a dark color. There is all kinds of nasty stuff that was in that old filter. When I pulled it off and turned it upside down, I mean, it was just black. Black stuff was running out of it. So I don't know if that's just, 200,000 miles of contaminants, or if that's like the filter innards are bad. That's what that part is, but, so I don't know if it's pieces of the filter that was there or contaminants, but you don't want to reuse this fuel. You dump this stuff right in the yard or in your recommended recycling place or whatever. Do not put it back in the car, because if it's a contaminant, it's going to clog the new filter up, and you don't want them problems, especially after you had to do all this stuff. So I'm going to put this thing back together. We'll put the fuse back in, prime the fuel pump, and start her up, and then I guess I'll clear the engine codes. Look at that. Look at all that dirt and everything that's in there, and that's diluted. I mean, so you can see kind of floating around in there. That came out of the filter, I reckon. And it was just straight black when I dumped the actual filter out onto the ground. So, don't reuse this stuff. Get rid of it. Okay, we're back in the car. We've put fuse number 54 back in, which was a 20 amp fuse. And that's for the fuel pump. And now we're just, I've already cleared the OBD codes out, so now we're going into the BMW part. And then I'm going to clear the all the stored codes in the BMW part. Now, while we're doing that, she complained about the key fob not working. Now, the central locking button works. But she is right. Pressing the key fob does not lock or unlock the doors, and sticking it in the keyhole and turning it all the way does not lock or unlock the doors, which that's supposed to. So I'll have to look into that and see if there's another separate fuse for door locks that's separate from the central locking. So I'll be back with that, and then once that's done, I'll clear those out, and then we'll cycle the fuel pump about 5 or 6 times, and then try to start it and see if she works and how she runs. Alright, so we've flipped the key about 5 or 6 times. Alright, everything's primed. Let's see what we got. seems to be running okay. I do notice she has some clutch chatter, though. See if I push the clutch in, that noise stops, but let it out. So I don't know what that is. Throwout bearing or something going out, maybe? But it seems to run okay. Pretty responsive, but we don't want to do that too long because she's got no fuel. Alright, I'd say this thing's fixed. We'll have to drive it around, or she'll have to drive it around and see what it's doing, I guess. So I'll call her, let her know it's fixed, and let her know that she needs to replace fuse 47, I believe, for the cigarette lighter, the 20 amp. And I don't know about the central locking thing, because it works with the key, or it works with the central locking button, but maybe the fob's dead. The only thing I can think of, because the trunk itself was also not opening. See? And that would be on a completely separate fuse than the other things. So I doubt she's got that many fuses blown. It's probably the battery in this guy right here. So, alrighty. Well, that's how you replace the fuel filter on the BMW e46. Very similar to the e38, except the fuel filter's on the other side, the driver's side on this car. And there's like an extra special metal housing on the other side of the plastic one, so you do have to take an extra thing out of the way. But, you know, other than that, it's pretty much similar. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.